You know what time it is. You guessed it. It's the Prince of Fresh Air time. Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. I'm, of course, your host, the beautiful, the handsome, the most charismatic man in entertainment. My lightning is failing me again. I thought I fixed it, but anyway, we're gonna rock and roll. I got another guest today. Now, you might recognize this face. You might recognize the voice. Maybe. But
Maybe
he doesn't need an introduction. But this is the Prince of Fresh Air, so we don't do anything average. So I'm gonna give you the tail of the tape of my next opponent, if you like that. All right. So check this out. I'm not dealing with just an average, athlete here. We're talking about the Powerslap heavyweight champion. Who is he? Well, here's the tail of the tape. He is 5-1, 3 wins by KO, 6'2", 255 pounds. Fighting out of Ruskin, Florida. At Powerslap 11, he won by KO in round 4 against Ryan Phillips. He fights the number 3 ranked heavyweight Dorian Perez December 6th in Las Vegas. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the heavyweight champ, Damien Dibbell. Dibbell, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey man, I appreciate you and your amazing intro. You know how to make a man feel good about himself. I appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying? Reporters, holla at me. All right, no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, thank you again for coming on. There's always a pleasure to have someone of your caliber, especially dealing with an A-list celebrity like me. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let's get into the meat potatoes because people don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from you. So, last time you came on, the first time you came on, we talked about a lot of stuff, right? But before we get into it, because I don't think I've heard anybody ask you this. I want to ask you because me and you, we DM all the time. So I want to ask you about Hurricane Helen before we get into the Powerslap and defending your title. That unfortunate hurricane hit Florida, and a lot of people lost homes, lost their lives, lost everything. For you, what was that process like during that crazy time?
I mean, it was honestly eye-opening just seeing the tragedy that was Hurricane Helene and the damage that it caused to our community and to multiple states, thousands, millions of people affected by it. And, since day one, I've been trying to do whatever I can to help out. And I think we all should do whatever we can to help any victims from the storm out because, it's one thing to see the damage, see those crazy newsreels. Well, it's another thing to drive down your street and, everything's blown over your own house. Like after Milton, I had a tree on my house, a tree on my grandparents' house. Like the damage was insane. So we really need to come together on this and, try to help these people get back to, you'll never be 100% from when the storm happened, but you can try to get back and claw your way back to what, a normal living used to be like.
Yeah. Now, this situation was crazy. So for you, when you got the call about defending your championship again, was this something where you thought, and the reason why I asked you was, I know Max Holloway, for people who don't know, Max Holloway, he is the former UFC featherweight champion. When things happened in Hawaii, he had to take a step back, right? Now, for you, because your title defense is coming up soon, did you feel like you wanted to take a little break just to get your grounds, maybe help your community? Or was this just something like, let's use this as an experience to bring some positivity and, uplift my fellow community members as well?
Honestly, my first thought when I got the call was this would be an amazing opportunity to, bring as many eyes to this tragedy as possible, start getting donations coming in, There's been so much damage at such a massive scale that every donation, every can of food you could send, everything helps. So if I could bring a couple more eyes to it, just a couple more people to support and these people that have been affected by the storm, then that's all worth it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about bringing eyes to this now. See, what troubles me is you usually wear glasses, right? And I think I could call you Spider Man, right? Because on one hand you're like Peter Parker, you got the glasses, you're kind of flying under the radar, but then you take those glasses off when you get ready to compete, and you become a different person. For you, as we get into your next title defense coming up soon, what is that? What is training like when you're preparing for something like this? Because this is a big opportunity for you.
I mean, it's been really intense. Just, I mean, I do my actual business, moving logs all day. It's a great workout, but every day I hit an extra workout, 2 hours, 3 hours, just going at it at the gym, training at home, accuracy, precision, making sure all my footwork is correct, making sure I'm not sliding, I'm not stepping, pivoting, just really focusing on those fundamentals and what I've been doing and what's been working for me.
Yeah. Now, like I said, we talk often, and you've been going to Abu Dhabi, no invite, But anyway, I
My
digress.
bad, bro. Next time,
It's
next time.
it is your bad. It is your bad. No, I'm kidding. But you've been out there, traveling, you're coaching, and so it's been a while. I've been actually not just because I have you on, but as I've actually been waiting to see you because you're one of the very few, like you, Wolverine, and there's a couple other names that actually every time you compete, I watch. But for you, you've been taking a kind of step back, right? You've been coaching. Powerslap, if I'm not mistaken, was 7 in Abu Dhabi. A lot of controversy came about. But for you being a coach, what was that process like? Going out there and having to, be in the corner for other fighters, other athletes too. Is there some things that you learned throughout that process that you could bring to your own training camp and maybe even to your own fight?
Oh yeah. Every time I've coached, and I've coached a couple of times now, that's like my third or fourth time coaching. Every time you'll learn something new from these guys, new training techniques, new ways to think about things too. It's not just me telling these guys what they should be doing out there or my own opinion. I try to work with these fighters and see how they've been training and play off of them like during their match. But it's honestly that trip side segment. That trip was fucking amazing. Best vacation slash work trip I've had to ever take in my life. I hope I'm on the next Abu Dhabi card. It was amazing.
No, it looked like fun. And speaking of amazing, you got a nice, amazing opportunity to work with the lovely Paige Van Zandt. And I had text you about this because it looked like she stole your shine a little bit. So, for the record, Damien, is it true she had more power than you? Is it true?
No. Yeah, she did a great hit. Everyone there was great competition, but whenever I left, I was number one on that board. But I ain't gonna toot my own horn too much about that.
Yeah. Now, I want to get into you and your opponent before I get into some things that's been happening around Power Slap. But like I said, December 6th, you go against Dorian Perez. And I've been watching him too, and he's a bit of a showman, right?
Mhm.
He's always saying something slick, something. I mean, it's entertaining, it's entertaining. But as an athlete, is that something you kind of have to deal with going forward? Like you have to mentally prepare yourself because for some people, it can be it's just chatting, it doesn't bother you. But for other people, it can be annoying. Is that something that even crosses your mind?
The only thing that I would find annoying is how like James Seekman did it when he came onto the scene. He just talked trash without having anything to back it up. Dorian could back up what the shit he says. Like Dorian is certified in the sport, and I respect the hell out of him. This is going to be a great match. But for me, this is fun. Like this is pure enjoyment. I'm doing it, not just because of what it's become and where it could go, but I started this fighting in bars and shit like that. I was doing this for fun way back in the day. So the shit talking never. Honestly, me and him have fun with it. If you ever watched their Penny or Petty Corner interview, it was hilarious. Me and him on there just having a great time.
Yeah. What do you think of him as an opponent? Because honestly, I knew at some point you guys would cross paths, but he wasn't my initial thought when he was going to defend. But for you, there's no trash talk. Just not trying to start any trouble. But for you, looking at him, is he? Do you feel like the biggest test for you going forward? Because honestly, I don't. Like I said, I'm not glazing in the sense, but
Yeah,
I
no.
don't think anybody right now could touch you. No pun intended. What do you think of him as an opponent?
I mean, I've been saying it in all my interviews. He's got a great chin on him. He has good power. He has knockout power. It's really just cleaning up his penalties that's going to be his biggest issue, and
Yeah.
dealing with someone like me. Like, again, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm probably the strongest hitter in this sport right now. And I feel like I could say that with confidence if I knock
Yeah.
out someone like Dorian, which that's what I'm planning on fucking do.
I honestly, I have no doubt in that. And I actually would have read off your force, but just because I know people ain't gonna understand it. I know I don't. I don't want to waste people's time. So as we get close, there's a lot that goes into preparing for something like this. Now, for the average person, the average fan, they may not understand like what do you have to do to prepare, right? And we kind of talked about this when we first talked. But for you, what is the training like? Is there, because you're a heavyweight, so you don't have to cut weight, you don't have to make weight.
Yeah.
What is it? What is the training like? Do you have to 5 weeks out, dial in the diet? Do you make sure you amp it up, into the week of the fight, and then you tone it down? Like for you, you don't have to give your game plan on your own personal techniques, but like, what is the training like for that?
I can tell you exactly what I do. I do the same thing for every fight. I
Hold on, let me
train
write this down,
hard.
huh? No.
I train hard in my daily job and just go into the gym throughout the months that I'm waiting. And then once I get the call for a fight, it's just nonstop training is all I do. It's a lot of strength training, a lot of flexibility training, a lot of just making sure your body is ready for, the physical output, because it's throwing everything you got in that one shot. So I'm hitting the gym hard to get build up that strength as much as possible, making sure that my ligaments could, I don't want to pop a shoulder or something or hurt my hand hitting somebody's head. So, strengthening every part of your body. I fucking slap bricks. Like, I do whatever it takes to get my body right for these kinds of matches.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because you honestly, I didn't realize how young you were until I looked up your profile. I was like, holy crap. I thought you was I didn't think you was like in your
Everyone's
30s, but
yeah.
yeah,
Everyone says the
it's the
same damn
beard.
thing. Yeah.
So like for you, because we often see a lot of times, like, not that I'm not far off in age from you, but oftentimes like people, your age and stuff, they don't really take into account of recovery, making sure they take care of the body. For you, as the champ, is that something that you take great priority in, and making sure that I'm not just out here training, I got to make sure everything is working properly and I recover well so I can continue training and continue defending my belt?
Honestly, I'll be honest, I definitely was terrible with that when I first started. I'd go 7 days a week nonstop. And even recently, sometimes it's hard to slow down when you're just so ready and geared up to go fight. And training for me is really exciting. I love getting ready for these events, but I've definitely gotten better at, taking my rest days, taking days to recover, seeing a physical therapist. Actually, he the physical therapist I went to is Dr. Rob. You could go on Instagram and find him. He's a pretty well-known physical therapist in my area, and he really helped me out, make sure my back was right, and I was getting ready properly for these events and not overstraining myself.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people don't understand training power slap, right? Because some people might say, "Oh, you just slapping somebody," but as a combat sports fanatic myself, I understand that it's much more than that. It's not just about swinging your arm and hitting the target. There's a lot of practice involved in making sure you don't foul. Like you've mentioned about, Dorian. He's not the only one. A lot of people
Yeah.
have been, called for fouling. How much of training is that? Drilling to make sure you keep your steps. You don't make sure you step outside of bounds. You don't, lift your feet off the ground. Make sure you don't club your opponent. How much of that is actually dedicated to training?
I mean, honestly, if I had to put a number on it, that's like half of what you're training. Like for dudes that are getting a lot of penalties, even I'd say it should be more because that's it's such a short event. Like you get 3 hits, 3 chances for a lot of these guys to go out there and do your best. Like you don't want to fuck up any one of those rounds because that could lose you a match. So and it's really a perfectionist kind of sport. Like you got to be perfect on every single slap out there. So
Yeah,
technique is very important, and there's plenty of every person I feel like has a different technique that works for them. Certain tweaks that work for them, the way they place their feet, the way they squat down. Like I'm one of the few dudes that hits a deep squat before I slap somebody, and it really helps me. And other people have started to pick that up. Other people prefer to stand tall. Like there's so many different ways you can do it to get power without pulling a penalty. It's a really big part of the sport is keeping your fights clean.
yeah. And speaking of keeping it clean, let's get into a couple little things that's been happening. So, I'm sure you know. So, Power Slap 7, which you was there for. So, after the event, Dana White did a press conference and he talked about the decisions and some of the reffing and something that he wants to address with the commission. Now, not only just as a coach that you were at the event, but as an athlete and the champion, is a rule something like, if after 3 rounds there's no clear decisive winner, let's go to a sudden death where everybody gets another turn. Is that something you in favor in?
I would honestly love that. I feel like it. I'm the advocate for longer rounds. Oh, by the way, it was Power Step 9 in Abu Dhabi.
That's
Uh,
what.
yeah, you're good, man. Because I'm at Power Step 10. But yeah, the math ain't math in there.
Yeah. Let's end this.
But no, I'm an advocate for longer rounds. I came from Slap Fight Championships that did 10-round matches, and then their championship matches used to be unlimited rounds. I I'm crazy. I love that shit. I would love to see more rounds, and I think it'd be a good opportunity. I don't see the commission ever allowing that though, and
Yeah,
I don't understand how that would work. Because even in a sudden death, how many rounds are they going to allow it to continue if it's still like neck and neck? Like, because some of these matches, like Crazy Hawaiian versus Dumpling, if that went another round, who's to say that there would have been a more decisive winner out
that's
of that
true.
extra round? They already had 5 rounds, and the Dumpling already had extra slaps because of the Crazy Hawaiian flinches. So, like, who's to say it's going to go in strongly in either guy's favor?
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. That is a big challenge, and that's actually leads me. I wasn't even going to ask you this question, but you actually brought up a good point because I often see commentators who work power side. A lot of times they're commentating UFC. They talk about the damage that you not necessarily you, but you as a whole face taking blows to the head like that. What do you say about that constant criticism? Because when you think about it, boxing is the same way. You're taking punches to the head. Yeah, you might be able to, block it, but you're still taking punches to the head. So for you, like, what is that? How do you defend yourself and get your community from these wild allegations?
Honestly, the one thing I like to say the most is like, even training for a boxing match, you're getting hit in the head more than I've been hit in the head in all of my matches of Power Step combined. Even if you're the
Right.
best boxer in the world, you're probably getting hit in the head more times than I am doing what I'm doing right now. I've gotten, I've probably gotten less than 10 hits against me in Power Step since I've started, and a boxing match, hundreds of hits to the head. Some of them it could be way worse, but there's still that risk there. But with 3 hits and then the medical support that we have, the UFC has around us, and we get checked all the fucking time. Like it's
Yeah.
honestly excessive how much they check us for like CTE and brain damage and make sure we're in the best health we can be. And so it's really the safest violent sport, if that makes any sense, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree, and I think a lot of people fail to realize when you're a sport that have the money and the resources to take care of athletes, you can make sure everything is taken care of pretty well. So I definitely agree with that statement. Now, another thing I want to talk about too, and it's
Mm-hmm.
been going around, and it's not really
Oh,
power
Lord.
slap. It's more of a combat sports problem. You've been doing your rounds of interviews since your fight got announced, and a lot of fans criticize the media for asking the same questions all the time. For I want to ask you because you are one of those people who get asked questions because you're the champ.
Oh,
What do
yeah.
you feel about the state of media?
I feel like the media, it could be better, but we already Slap News, you, Petty Corner, Terry Dunning. There's a lot of people that are trying to do, get the media started and on the right direction. And I love what y'all are doing with it. It's there's just so many new media spots opening up. It's still a budding sport, so there's going to be plenty of media that opens up and starts up, and podcasts that you go on that you'll never heard of Powerslap or it's their first time and they still don't fully understand the rules. Like it's just going one of those growing pains. It's still, I feel like you're going to be hearing the same questions in every interview, in like most interviews for the next at least 2 years before
Yeah.
everybody starts like getting the rules set down and figuring out what's going on that stage.
Well, I appreciate you throwing me in there because I'm not a journalist. Like that's the crazy part. Like always, I have you on. I've had somebody else on, somebody you competed against, coaching wise, and I think I told you. I'm forgetting the name for a
Mm-hmm.
second, but I'm not even. I mean, I enjoy UFC and Power Slap, but I'm not even. That's not my realm, and I feel like I've been able to give you, not that you need me, but a lot of athletes opportunities to, talk on big platforms because I feel like it's starting to now get to that point. And that's actually a question I was going to ask you because, ever since I don't think this way, but a lot of, the male audience, of course, once Paige Van Zandt came, the audience started skyrocketing and, I don't think it's just her. I think it's people like you, Wolverine, Turpin, and all, the list goes on, who are actually starting to go out there. Dorian, even too, Dorian, bringing that entertainment feel to the sport. For you, what has it been like over the last few months? Because I feel like now, like Dana is talking about it at UFC press conferences when he's doing interviews outside of just UFC. He's bringing up power slap in the numbers. For you, has the growth been something like you kind of noticed when you go to places, or maybe even your own hometown? Is that growth you're starting to see? Is it rising quicker than you expected?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was already bigger than I expected. Like a year and a half ago, after the first like 2 or 3 events, I started getting recognized in my grocery store. Actually, really wholesome. Just this little girl and her mother came up to me. Was like, "You do power stuff? Like, can we take a photo?" I was like, melted my fucking heart. Just absolutely
Yeah,
amazing. But
yeah,
yeah, I've been recognized in parking lots, just going about my day at the gym. It got it's gotten crazy how often I got recognized from doing. I never expected to be that person that got recognized from videos and my fights and shit like that.
yeah. So as we wrap up, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you had a long day and you got other stuff you got to do, of course. But I got to bring this up, and don't hate me. All right, I
Oh
gotta say
Lord,
it. All right, you
oh
ready?
Lord, yep.
So the person I had on recently, Alan Klingbeil, Klingbeil. I had him on, and I saw a stat. Apparently, you lost to him at Power Slap 9, coaching wise. He won more fights than you did. So, Damien, should this record actually be
Yeah.
3-2? Huh? Is this what we're doing?
God. Wow, I didn't know we were bringing coaching records up. That's crazy. Listen, man. Listen.
Don't.
Listen.
I'm just an actor, man. I don't know.
No, honestly, Alan, short notice came in, did a fucking amazing job. So proud that he came out there and really showed up. Was amazing coach on that out there. But speaking for myself, in my defense, there's really only so much you could do seeing them.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, day of, some people I never didn't get to see till like we walked out there. But there's only so much you can do. I tell my biggest advice whenever you're cornering is just play. Ask the person that you're cornering whatever they need, how they trained. Do you need any advice? Do you need me to shout something? Do you need me to tell you about your mama while you're up there to get you motivated? Like, what do you need from me? Because that's what I like to do. I'd like to mold how I corner for every fighter, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and fights just you can never predict how they're going to go.
Yeah. Now, one question I do want to ask you real quick. You've won 3 fights already by knockout, and I know as much as Dana and everybody talks about Powerslap, one of the things I'm starting to see is that a lot of fans, unless you knocking out your opponent, especially Powerslap, because it's very popular on social media, right? Because of the quick knockouts, the reactions, and everything. Do you ever fear that, not that you will ever, not knock out your opponent, but you feel like if you don't get a knockout against Dorian or any other competitor you face going forward, that you may not get that push that you want? Or is that just something like, what, you're going to get your job done, you're the champ, as long as you retain, that's all that matters?
No, it's really, they like knockouts. If you want to move up in rankings, you got to knock somebody out. If you want a title fight, you better have knocked somebody out at some point for them to even look your direction, honestly. Like, knockouts are a pretty big deal, not just on the social media side, but the brass really likes knockouts. And I've knocked down every single person I fought.
Yeah.
Every single person I fought has fallen on their pocket. So if anyone survives a full match with me, it's gonna look bad on me and look great for them. So I mean, that's what happened with Ryan. Ryan survived 4 rounds before I knocked him out, but he still survived 4 rounds. So he's got arguably one of the best chins in the league now. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things, like, if I can't knock Dorian out, I'd personally say, unless he goes up to super heavyweight, he has the best fucking chin in Powerslap. Because I feel like I have the strongest hit in Powerslap right now.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Even someone like the Crazy Hawaiian, nice guy, love him. I always watch his stuff. Even for him, like, I'm not gonna lie, the other day I was thinking, what if you ever went up to super heavyweight? I don't think you want to, because I don't think you really need to. Have you ever even thought about maybe in the future moving up, or no?
I've thought about it. I've asked about it. I've tried. It's probably not going to happen just because of the weight gap. And I'm a steady 250.
Yeah.
That'd be a big weight gain and weight difference for me. But I would love to. But super heavyweights, that's the ultimate challenge of power. That's really why I want to do it, because that's like, they're pretty immovable. Like, you saw the Crazy Hawaiian, you saw his brother. Like, a lot of them big Hawaiians, they're hard to move once you get onto that stage. So, I'd love to try it, just because, again, I've knocked everyone down. I'd love to have a match and see where that stops. Where does that line end?
Now, would you ever entertain a move to light heavyweight, or no?
That's more likely, honestly. If Vern wins, for sure. Nothing against Vern or nothing, just because, Ron's probably going. Personally, I feel like Vern's going to win that match. So if Vern wins that match, call me up, man. Call me out. Send your best regards. I'll call you out after I win. A surprise match in Saudi Arabia. I'd be down for it.
Yeah, I'd see that. And what's one quick thing before we wrap this up? When Wolverine moved up, I was actually considering that. I was like, if he's able to kind of get past contenders, what would a match between, and I know you guys, probably have a good rapport. So this is just hypothetical. But I was thinking, what if you went up against Wolverine? What do you think?
I mean, I did fight Ron in Powerslap 2.
You did?
I won the belt from him. I was the first to knock him down, and then Turpin knocked him out.
I knew that. It was a trick question. It's a trick question. It was a trick question. I mean,
Yeah, that's
come
what I'm saying.
on.
Like, I
Do you
already
not?
fought Ron either way. So, like, if Vern won, that'd be exciting because I haven't fought Vern, and he's arguably like when you talk about the strongest strikers in Powerslap, me and him are neck and neck right there. I don't see a lot of people think it's him, so I would love, just to test that theory out.
You know why it throws me off? Because I don't know his. I only call him Wolverine, and that's all I know him. So when you say Ron, I didn't realize you was talking about him. I didn't know his real name.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, we hung out together so much. Just Ron.
ah, gotcha. All right, all right. I'm sorry, Ron. All right, don't come at me. If you come at me, I got Damien. All right, Damien.
Yeah, no, we
all right.
coached season 1 together, so we got
I
pretty
didn't
close
know
out
that.
there.
Wow.
Wow,
Well,
you ain't never watched season 1?
no.
Fake fan.
No,
That's crazy, bro. Oh my
nah.
god.
You know what it is. I got slapped the other day. Nah, nah. I don't
That
know.
CTE started kicking in.
See, this is why they pay me the small bucks. All right, leave me alone. Now, all seriously, as we wrap this up, December 6th is coming. It's going to be a show. I'm looking forward to watching it. There's always free live on Rumble for people who want to check it out. But for you, how do you think this play? Well, I know how it plays out. You know how it plays out. But for the fans, how does this play out for you?
Honestly, I'm trying to end it round 1, just because to prove a point. Against someone like Dorian, ending it in round 1 would be insane. So I want to do it, and that's what I've been training for. And I hope he knows he better be prepared because I'm bringing it from round 1, and every single round after that is just going to be worse.
Whoo! I feel like. Oh no! Before I say that, do you know your walkout song?
No.
Now,
I just forgot. Oh, you just asked me. I forget. It was in my head. I knew you were going to ask about it and just blanked.
it's all right. Slapped by Ludacris.
Oh yes, I remember now.
It just makes sense. It has to. Come on.
See, the thing is, I have to get it approved first because I don't get to just choose whatever song I want. You gotta get
true.
it. You gotta make sure that they're okay with it. Like certain songs, they don't like heavy metal out there. Like certain heavy metal genres and stuff aren't that great. I'm sure they didn't like when I think it was one of my first walkouts. I chose a YG song and they had to bleep. It was hilarious. They bleeped out like the entirety of the song. I thought they'd at least in this actual like arena let it just play. No.
Now, here's a little thing. All right, if you do decide, you don't have to, but if you do decide, there's a line in the song where Ludacris says, "I'm thinking about hitting my boss today." So if you're out there in that line, you look at Dana White and you just give him the nod. All right. I'll just play.
That's hilarious.
See, that's why I'm behind the camera, all right?
Can't be put in front of the camera. Too dangerous.
Nah, I honestly, I'm never gonna lie. I've thought about doing Powerslap, but I just don't want to ruin the eyebrows. That's
yeah. You know what?
You get it?
Yeah. Can't fuck up the brows like that, man.
You know what I'm saying?
And then the teeth gonna be swollen for the cameras, like.
So I'm saying I already have a hard time getting ladies. So come on, man. Nah, stop. Now, like I said, thank you for being generous. I know you had a long day, so let's wrap this up. Like I said, December 6th, you're coming back. You're defending the heavyweight strap once again against Dorian Perez. It's going to be a banger. Is there anything? The floor is yours at this point. Anything you want to shout out? I know you said some things aren't lined up yet, but any sponsors? Anything you want to shout out beforehand? The floor is yours.
I'd like to just say thank you to everyone supporting me through this journey. All the fans that, as soon as I started posting, I got fans commenting saying they're excited to see me come out there. So, I appreciate it. I love all y'all for doing all that. And just, again, if you have $1, spare it to Hurricane Helene support, Red Cross, FEMA, maybe not FEMA. Been controversy over that one, but wherever you got it, and thank you to my single sponsor for right now, for right now. Dual Fit, they've been treating me great out there, and always open to more sponsors. Hit your boy up, but thank you again. Just appreciate all the love and support. It's been a journey, and I didn't expect to be in this kind of position, but I'm grateful for every single day.
Yeah, and this goes to show that even a champ can stay undefeated in times like this. Thank you, Damien, for always taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on. It's a pleasure. I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to this fight that you got coming up. We all know knockout is coming, but tune in live on Rumble. Check out Damien the Bell, and Still, and he's the champ. I'm the most charismatic man. If you got something to say, Damien will come and slap you. We'll see you later.